All right, Mr. Wesson, so I have all your results here today, so we can just go ahead and go through these. When I looked in your ears, I was just looking to make sure that there wasn't a lot of wax plugging up your ears, and they looked very clean, so that was good. I could see your eardrum, which is what I was looking for, essentially, with that test.
All right.
And then I did that next test that put the pressure in your ears. So what that was doing was just moving your eardrum, making sure there's no fluid in your ears, that the bones that are in your ears are moving the way that they're supposed to, and just things of that nature, and it got normal results for that too.
Okay.
So what that tells me is that if there is hearing loss, it's not from the contributing from the middle ear or outer ear.
Okay.
So then we moved on to the hearing test, which I have the results here. So this is called an audiogram right here. So from left to right, it goes from very low pitches all the way up to high pitches. It's like a piano, basically, going from left to right.
Okay.
And then from top to bottom, it goes from very quiet all the way to like as loud as a jet engine.
Okay.
0 right here is considered perfect hearing. So this line right here.
Okay.
And as you move down, so like right here, this would be considered up to normal hearing. So perfect, then normal.
Okay.
Moving down, that would be a mild hearing loss. We move down a little bit more, that's a moderate hearing loss, and then so on and so forth. So you can see this normal lines right here. You can see your thresholds here. They do not fall in what we would consider normal hearing. They fall within that mild to moderate range, slipping down to severe, found in your right or in your left ear. I apologize.
Okay.
Blue is left, red is right. So you can see your right ear does have better thresholds than your left ear. And I believe that that's due to your gun exposure. Shooting guns, your left ear does get the louder inputs between the two ears. So that does make sense to me that your left ear would have a little bit lower hearing sensitivity than your right.
Okay.
And you can see your right ear does only have about a mild, maybe a little bit moderate hearing loss. So I could see how when you're in quiet situations, that would mean that you're hearing well, you're able to do well, but since your left ear does have this hearing loss here, that does mean that when you get in those more challenging situations, you do have more trouble. So I did a couple, the words tests, I had you repeat words back to me. Mm-hmm. You did do well with that, you did fair in your left ear, and you did good in your right ear. So what that tells me is whenever I'm making speech loud enough for you to be able to hear on a par with a normal hearing person, you are performing well. Again, it's just in those noisy situations where you have the trouble. So I know when you came in today, you weren't expecting to have any sort of hearing loss. So tell me what you're thinking.
Well, I don't really understand why am I doing so well then? Why do I feel like I don't have hearing loss, and I can understand people talking to me most of the time, and I can understand the TV and the radio, then how do I have hearing loss if I can understand that? People that have hearing loss have trouble talking to people.
Mm-hmm. So, again, back to your test, so with those low and high pitches, in your lower pitches back here, you see it's closer to normal, but then when you get up to the higher pitches, that's where you're having trouble. So the higher pitches are what we consider to be the intelligibility of speech. So that's what gives you the clarity of speech, and the lower pitches are what's the power of speech and is what makes you know that there's speech there. So whenever you get in noisy situations, those higher pitches get covered up more easily than those lower pitches. Okay. So that's whenever speech becomes less intelligible, is when, in that noise, which is what you're saying is in that background noise is when you start to notice
little kids and
trouble.
And women, they're harder to hear in restaurants.
Yeah, and that would be explained by this. You see how it kind of dips off here.
Okay.
Yeah.
So these are those high pitches.
Yeah, okay. And it's worse in the left. So whenever it's just your right ear alone, it's fine. But then when you add those two together, because your brain uses both of your ears to process sound, it becomes a little more difficult for you.
Okay.
Yeah. So, was there anything else I could explain to you about this?
No, so whenever we had those words, I did good on the words, so I'm understanding the speech right.
You are understanding the speech. And again, that was in quiet, so that's not giving us an idea of how you would do in those noisy situations. We don't have a numerical value saying this is how you perform in speech versus in quiet. We just know that when you are in quiet and when it's turned up loud enough for you to hear well, you are doing well. So that lets us know that you would be a good candidate for amplification if you were open to it. And I know that's kind of a new concept since you weren't exactly thinking about hearing loss in general, but it's something to think about, and I think something that'd be good to talk about with your wife. Since your loved ones are the ones that are gonna, kind of give you, they're not gonna give you the benefit of the doubt as much as a stranger would. A stranger's gonna accommodate for you and, pick up for things that you are struggling with in speech, especially in noise, but your loved ones are the ones that are going to tell you the truth. So I think it is kind of important to take into account, things that your wife says, because, she's the one that's around you all the time.
Okay.
So just something to think about.
So I need hearing aids. Do I need them in both ears or just one? The left ear's worse?
So we would recommend, in your situation, you do have hearing loss in both of your ears.
Okay.
It would be good to amplify both. Because, like I said, your brain uses both of your ears' information to process sound and to really understand what's going on.
Okay.
So that's what we would recommend for you today. But if you need some time, I totally understand because I know you weren't exactly expecting these results today. Excuse me. But, yeah, so that's what we got today.
All right.
And if you want to take this and take it to your wife, if you have any questions, just let me know. I'm a phone call away. I can answer any questions you have.
All right, thank you. I think you answered all my questions today. I'll just go talk to the missus and see when we can get back in for some hearing aids.
Okay, great. That sounds amazing.
Thank you.